All right. Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of Unpack This. I am Gloria Bailey Ray, your host, known as the Authentic Host. And guess what? Today, we're going to continue in our series, our second series, our women's series of the Unlearning. And today, I'd like to just have dialogue with you about the topic. You're not confused. You're avoiding the truth. All right. So again, I am the authentic coach. I'm tongue tied today, you guys, and I just want to do what we always do on this show. Is we're gonna unpack things, and we're unpacking the truth, talking about women who avoid when they already know something isn't right. Again, this is about us keeping it real, and I'm just pulling off the gloves. And as usual, getting real with you. For me, that is what being authentic is really about. So I'm just going to ask you, hey, grab your pad, your pen. Let's get into it, and let's, just break it down. So allow me to, first of all, just start with, saying, let's stop calling it confusion. Why do I say that? Because you're not confused. Not at all. If you're still doing this, if you're still checking his phone, but you saying you trust him, right? If you find yourself crying in private, but posting, oh, and I know you guys see that like everything is fine. It's fantastic. If you find yourself explaining his behavior to your friends instead of questioning why you're even still accepting it, let me just be real with you. Ladies, that's not confusion. That's avoidance. That's really and truly what it is. You are avoiding what you already know. But again, I want to just dig a little deeper, right? And say, you know what? I've been there. That's why I do this, because sometimes people forget, they skirt the surface, but I want to keep it real. I want to break it down. I want to make it so that you say, oh, yeah, I can relate to that. I've been there, right? I've been there sitting in something that just didn't feel right, you know? And instead of saying, this isn't working, guess what? I said, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm expecting too much, right? See how we dummy that down? Maybe I just need to be patient, right? Anybody been there? Can you relate to that? No. Let me just say, what I needed to be was honest. That's what it's about. But you know what? Honesty would have required me to make a decision that I wasn't ready to make. Come on now. Again, this is about us unpacking this. This is about being real. And, let me get real with you. Talk about some life denials. Because, when we really stop and we really look back over our lives, I'm just going to say, let's call out what denial actually looks like, right? It looks like this. First of all, ignoring inconsistency and calling it he's busy, right? Accepting what I would say the bare minimums, bare bones, and you still telling yourself he's trying. Being what I call emotionally drained, and you're calling it relationships are just hard. Come on, y'all. Listen. And here's the thing, many of you're staying silent to keep the peace, right? And all the while inside, you dying inside. And let me just say this one right here, this one right here, this is the piece that I found myself grappling with, dealing with. And it was letting other people normalize, the dysfunction. This dysfunction that was in my relationship, this man that was dysfunctional. Look, I'm just here to say this is about unpacking. Let me call out for you some things when you're dealing with your friends or your family, right? Um, I guess, yeah, I'm just gonna go there, right? Let me just go there. Some of you have people in your ear or your ears, and guess what? This is what they're saying. At least you got a man. Really? Really? Or a piece of a man is better than no man. Any of you relate to that? Or here's the thing, and a lot of women buy into this, you're not getting any younger. Not even. And this other piece, I can think back what's going through a divorce, you know, that everybody goes through something, right? If you can relate, hey, just give me a shout out. If you're tuned in live, place a comment in the comment section. We're streaming live Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And I'm just, let me know where you tuned in from. But let me be very clear. I just need to be really, really clear with you. That mindset will have you settling your entire life. That's right. And that's why we are doing a women's series, because you have got to move from where you've been to where you need to be. You need to be becoming, because now you're not just fighting your own truth, you're managing other people's, and get this, and I'm going to call it their fear based beliefs. That's right. Fear based, because that's what it is. Someone that will tell you that or want you to stay in a situation that you know that's not working. Come on. You got to ask yourself why. And by the way, I'm going to say to you, women, quit ignoring what your gut is telling you, right? Your gut will tell you before it even reaches your brain, because you know. But when people tell you that, I'm just going to say, you're going to manage somebody else's fear based beliefs, because that's what they think. And that's really limited. No matter how you put it, right? But guess what? Guess what? Here's the truth. Just because something is common, it does not mean that it's acceptable. Do I need to say that again? Just because something is common does not mean it's acceptable. A piece of a man, really? Really? It's still a lack of wholeness. But you've got people who will say that to you. And for some of you, it's some of those so-called frenemies that, because they are looking at what you have, and in their little limited mind, again, their attitude is a piece of a man is better than no man. And I'm going to tell you, girlfriend, no, you need to get up from that table, because that is not the truth, right? Also, you know, you can't build a healthy life on what I call partial presence. If it's not 100%, how you going to do that, right? As that old saying, 99 and a half just won't do. So when you really think about where you are, but let me push it another step further. Let me talk about the financial reality, because, you know, I'm going to talk about something that a lot of women, you don't want to admit. But again, this is why we're unpacking it. Some of you are staying in these relationships because you feel you have to. That's right. And why? Because financially, you didn't plan for yourself. You didn't have that little goose nest egg set aside. What you did is you planned for him, but you didn't plan for yourself. Why? Because you believe this. You literally believe he's going to take care of me. You believe that you guys were building something together. You're building this together. And then here's the other thing. You tell yourself, I'll be fine as long as we're together. Look, you know what? Roll that back. And guess what? And now you're in a situation where leaving feels impossible. I know some of you can relate. I know you feel me on this, because, like I said, I'm not talking at you. I'm talking to you, because I've been there. I've been that woman, right? And I know for a fact. And it's not because you don't see the truth, but you're there because you don't feel financially secure enough to act on it. Oh, baby, don't I know? Lesson learned. Hard one, but lesson learned. And here's the hard truth. Let me just say this plainly. Love, I'm going to say it slowly. Love does not replace financial independence. I don't care how solid your relationship is. Every woman should have something of her own, right? I told you I've been there, been those relationships where it was not yours, mine, and ours. It was his, and mine was his, and ours was his, right? But every woman should have something of her own. That means her own assets, her own resources, her own safety net. You know? And it's not because you're planning for failure, not at all. It has nothing at all to do with that. But it's about you taking care of you. Because at the end of the day, you can plan all day. Things can be rosy until they're not. You're not planning for failure. But because you're committed to never being stuck, and that's why you do this. That's why you need to have your own resources. You need to have access. Look, don't take us back to the 1920s, right? This is about you being in a situation where you will never be stuck. You will never be dependent on that one person, right? So this is heavy. This is exactly what I confront in when to get up from the table, when love is not being served, y'all. Because getting up from the table, it's not just emotional, it's practical, right? Just think about it. You have to be able to move. You have to. And, I think back to a situation in my life where I always had to ask, could I get some money? Can I withdraw? Why? Because, like I said, I had those people in my ear. Yeah. And baby, let me just tell you, when you have this epiphany and you break free and you realize that you always need to be able to take care of number one before you take care of anybody else, right? So let me bring this back to you. Like I said, you're not confused, not at all. What you're minimizing what you feel. You're normalizing what hurts. And you are delaying what you already know. And in some cases, depending on something um, that's not stable. And you know that. You know it. And let me just tell you, that combination, it will keep you stuck. You'll always be right where you are. That's saying if you always do what you've always done, you're going to always get what you've always got because you're stuck. You're staying in a situation and you're trying to say to yourself, you're confused. You're not confused about anything. You're just not dealing with the truth. That's the reality, right? So allow me to reframe this for you. First of all, clarity is already there. You know it, you sense it, you feel it, and you feel it. You feel it in your body, you feel it in your silence, you feel it in your frustration. and in your exhaustion, right? That piece, that's clarity. Plain and simple. That's what it is. See, you just haven't acted on it. I guess that's a better way to say it. You just haven't acted on it. And you got to ask yourself why. I'm just going to say this. If it hits you, don't brush it off, right? Because if you're doing that, guess what? You're shortchanging yourself. That's exactly what you're doing. You know, don't brush it off. You got to ask yourself this: what truth have I been avoiding because acting on it will cost me something? Well, they say nothing in life is free, right? But I want you to ask yourself that. And if you're ready to not just to see what's happening, to see it, but prepare yourself to move differently. That's the work. That's the work, ladies. Not just emotional awareness. This is about real life alignment. Um, I just, when I think about where we are and what we've done, to me, it's critical that you're honest with yourself. I want to ask you to ask yourselves if you are still checking that person's phone, if you are still driving around to see where the person is. I think nowadays, if you're putting a tracker on their vehicle, if you are, uh, playing, because you're playing a game, it's a deadly game where you are trying to paint this picture, this rosy picture, that everything is all right. It's not all right. Because, first of all, there's no trust, there's no honesty. Pictures mean absolutely nothing because you can post all day long and make it look real, but the reality of it is, behind closed doors, ain't nothing about it real. And you have been telling yourself that I need to stay in there. And for every woman who feels like that she's over 50, over 60, and she's not married and she doesn't have kids, look, quit selling yourself short. Stop it. Why do I say this? And this is why I do this. And this is some of the coaching that I do, is because there is nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with you feeling good about who you are and what you bring to the table. And I always say this: if the seat that you have right now at the table, if it ain't working, then get up. Sometimes you got to flip the damn table over, pick your chair up, and find or build another table, right? That's why we're unpacking all of this, right? I mean, if you're confused, if you're avoiding the truth, I want to tell you, once you face it, you don't just feel different. Not at all. I'm telling you, you move different. You got a different swag about you. Why? Because you know who you are. You know whose you are. And you're confident in what you bring to any table. So I would like to just share with you, look, You're not confused. Not at all. There is no confusion, right? If this message, if it hit you different, right? If you decided, I'm tired of having or being with a piece of a man, I want wholeness, I want 100%. If you are tired of being in a situation, and some of you ladies know what I'm talking about, you're with someone who's constantly draining you for money. Look, take a step back, take care of you, and be okay with not having that half of a man. Be okay with making sure that you got money in your account. Be okay with knowing that your ride is going to take you where you need to go. I just hope that some of you will look at your financial picture and realize I need to make some changes. And in those changes, I need to be in control of my own finances. I need to have, you know, what I'm supposed to have. I need to do this for me. And see, when you take care of you, all the rest of it falls into place. There's absolutely no doubt about it, right? So, for those of you, ladies, if this particular topic resonated with you, if you could relate to being that woman that has been in that situation and felt like I couldn't leave because of, today is your day to start unpacking and making changes. That is the reality. So until this time next week, I want to encourage you to keep unpacking, to keep being true to yourself, to look yourself in the mirror and recognize and say, I am worthy. I am worth everything that's supposed to come to me. But a lot of you block your blessings because, you're still believing and letting those little voices in your ear tell you something that you really know deep down inside, right? So I'm just going to say this until this time next week. Keep unpacking, keep being real with yourself. Don't stop being who you know you are supposed to be. Again, I'm Gloria Billy Ray. I'm the authentic coach. And until this time next week, I bid you peace, blessings, and all of that good stuff. Be well, you guys.